Hi Money Magnet, so good to see you. Looks like the SPY found some buying pressure from the 20 daily moving average. That's this yellow line right here. Now yesterday I spoke about this previous pivot high that we had. That was July 31st high around 639.85. We closed yesterday at 639.81. So technically it was kind of a close, but I was definitely waiting to see what was going to happen today. I wrote in my Discord in the SPY section, no longs unless 639.8 clears. I wrote this at 9:27 a.m. to put 641 and 642.5 in play. And I wrote here if 638.2 fails next, 637 and 635.5 incoming. And eventually 638.2 did fail as support, and I alerted in the group. But why did I consider it a breakdown? Well, I used the 15-minute chart. You can see here that 9:30 candle. We closed below my 638.2 level, and it gave us this beautiful move, beautiful drop to the downside, going as low as 632.94. Started off the day very strong. However, the bulls did eventually come to life. I had a 634 level. They had a false breakdown setup. They broke it down on the 15-minute chart, and then they recaptured it on the 15-minute chart, which led to some upside. It was the first recapture was very nice because we got the close above 634, and you can see it popped up very close to hitting my 637 level before we started chopping. And we were chopping all the way up until FOMC, but it did get a little bit of action FOMC minutes. After FOMC minutes was released, we had this breakdown of 637, bounce off to 635.5, recaptured 637, hit that 638.2 level. But I tell you, the only really good move that we had was that big move to the downside and then the initial recapture of 634. But after that, it kind of got very trappy. So now we have to move on and look at the daily chart and prepare for the next setup. If you were one of the people that bought the dip around that 20 daily moving average, maybe you played Uncle's levels and played the recapture. But either way, if you are holding calls or longs right now, and you may be wondering, should I continue to hold calls tomorrow? I tell you this, it depends on what the price action says. And if the price action clears 638.2 and it clears and recaptures 639.85, I would definitely be bullish, and I would favor we go back and retest that 642.5 level. That was when we had the chop phase. That was the bottom of the chop phase. Maybe we go retest it and we'll see what happens there. Retest, reject, that's bearish. If we retest and recapture, very bullish, and a higher low could be in. However, I do have to acknowledge that technically speaking, this is a lower close from yesterday. So if bears want to show some bearish follow through, they must on any bounce keep price below 639.85. They also need to get back below that 20 daily moving average. It is sloping up, so keep an eye on where it's going to be tomorrow, but keep an eye on that if it breaks down. And also the 635.5 level, that's the fib level that I have. We break down those levels, then this pullback continues. So below 639.8, I do favor more pullback, more of downside, and above it I do favor a back test of 642.5, but I cannot call a bottom unless 642.5 recaptures. That's my plan for tomorrow. Here is QQQ. Now while SPY was battling and found some buying pressure from the 20 daily moving average, QQQ lost it. They lost the 20 daily moving average. So we need to watch it for tomorrow. It is around 569.6, very close to one of my fib levels at 569.7. So for tomorrow to be bullish, 568 and my fib level at 569.7 must recapture. It would also recapture the 20 daily moving average. I would favor another $5 pop to the upside around the 574.6 level to retest this downtrend line, and above 574.6 would be breakout mode. Now that bounce is only possible if we can recapture 568 in the 20 daily moving average. If we fail to do that and we break down support level, I have support level at 565.8 and I have one at 563. Those levels fail, we are bearish. Back to the downside, back to the downside we go. Overall, it does look a lot more bearish on QQQ than on SPY, but if QQQ can recapture that 20, then maybe we get a bounce going, but otherwise more downside is possible. NVDA, we broke down multiple levels in a multi-month trend line yesterday. Technically speaking, intraday it definitely showed some more follow through, going down and hitting my 168.8 fib level. But once it hit that level, there was crazy amounts of buying pressure. I'm wondering, will it continue into tomorrow? If the answer is yes, we want to see the next resistant level at 176.8 and 178 recapture. If those levels recapture, I would definitely look to go long and favor 180 plus back in play. Possibly a low could be in, but if we drop back below 174.5 and we drop back below 173, I would definitely favor us dropping back down to 171, 169, or much lower this time. Now 168.8 was the low. It definitely could break that down around that 169 to 168.8 area. Break that down if we drop again. Bearish only above 176.8 and 178. Here is Tesla. We had the false breakout setup based on that multi-month trend line. Now I brought up the 200 daily moving average and the 50. We lost the 200 daily moving average today. The 50 is next. Watch that 320.5 level. That is a fib level and is very close to the 50 daily moving average. If we lose it, that's extremely bearish. I'll favor another $10 to $15 drop to the downside. I would not be surprised if we get below 310. To be bullish, the bulls must recapture the 200 daily moving average. That's around 327.6. It could change tomorrow, but definitely watch where it is, because if it recapture and it also clears the 331.5 fib level, I would definitely be bullish, and maybe, just maybe, we can get back up to 340 and 350. Here is coin. I adjusted my downtrend line, started from July 21st high, connecting to August 13th high, and yesterday's high around August 19th. We did manage to hit a fib level around 291.7. We did test this area before, not once but twice. We found buying pressure, so we have to see, can a massive W pattern play out? Can you guys imagine? That would be crazy. But let's start with one level at a time. If we are to get bullish, 306, 307.8, 309, and 311 must clear to go test 317, 316, and 317.5. And above 317.5 would be breakout mode for coin. I would be bullish above 317.5. Now we do have this potential double bottom right around the 291.7 area. Coin is pretty far away from it right now, but this is a very volatile ticker symbol. So if we break down 303, 301.5, and 300, I would not be surprised if we go down and test 293 and 291.7 again. But I tell you, multiple tests of that area and it's getting weaker. So if it tests again and it breaks down, I would feel very confident in favoring lower lows for coin. Here is IWM. Found some buying pressure very close to the 20 daily moving average. Didn't quite hit it though, but it did hit my 223.6 fib level. If buying pressure continues tomorrow, 226.7 must recapture. That was a critical high back in mid-June. We lost that level yesterday. So if it can recapture 226.7, I would go long. 228, 230, or much higher would definitely be in play. But overall, I am bearish below that level. So tomorrow, they'll need to break down 225 and 223.6. They failed to do it today, but if they do it tomorrow, 222, 220, or much lower are incoming. And last but certainly not least, here is the VIX. VIX had me very excited this morning when it was able to get above the 16 level, but as you can see, it failed to close above that level at the end of the day. So I'm still watching 16 and I'm still watching 17.5, and I would love to see those levels clear, because when VIX get above those levels, the S&P 500 tends to give us some very nice moves. But right now, it is looking bearish. Once again, 14.7 is in play. Now guys, we are followers of the price action, but always remember who you are. You are a money magnet. We're not begging, we are not hoping. We know, we believe. Money flows to us instantly right now on our command. I love y'all. Peace.